So the last video we shot with the Hasselblad 3.4 lens with the Ice Light 3s. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of people aren't going to want to shoot at higher ISOs like I did. The reason I shot at the higher ISO, like I told you, is because I wanted a higher shutter speed. I don't want camera shake. But now I'm going to shoot with an f2 lens and an f1.4 lens on the Sony a7R5 and show you how far down we can get that ISO shooting with this setup, because a lot of people are going to be using wider aperture lenses with these lights, and you're going to be able to pull that ISO down quite a bit. I still want to have a good shutter speed, even though this has IBIS. Remember, if they move, this doesn't help. Okay, if I move, this helps, but not if they move. Anyway, let's get into the shoot and see how the Ice Light 3s do with a wider aperture in a dark studio again. Thanks for watching as always. Let's get to the video. Well, this is my second video with the dark studio with these lights. And this is the Sony camera now. The first video, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch. It is with the Hasselblad and the 75p lens. And I was shooting at ISO 1600 with that camera because I have a 3.4 lens. And I like to be at a higher shutter speed with a medium format because of camera shake. Now with the Sony, obviously I can use wider lenses like a 1.4 that I used for the first couple of shots, and the f2. Now I used the 1.4 for a couple shots just to see what it looked like wide open, and it was fine. It looked really good. But I switched the f2 really quickly because I love that lens. It's small, lightweight. It's that Viltrox $200 lens. I will definitely leave a link in the description below for that, because once you see these images, you'll understand. I love that lens. It's incredible for I can't say for the price. It's just an incredible lens. Now, I did shoot gray card with this. The one thing I did notice is that I had to tweak the colors a little bit for the Sony in post. I used the gray card, but I still had to tweak them a little bit. With Hasselblad, I shot the gray card and set the white balance in camera. So when they come into Lightroom, the white balance was already set. That helped quite a bit. And Hasselblad's color science is just superior to just about any camera I've ever used. So it makes it a little bit easier. Not saying that the Sony's bad at all. Just it's a little bit more saturated than the Hasselblad. And it seems like I'm pushing red more than anything else, or magenta, which I just had to dial back a little bit. Again, it's not a bad outcome. It's not at all. I can't say, well, it just doesn't work with Sony. Sony color science is a lot better, but if you're coming from a Hasselblad to a Sony, you're going to notice a difference. Anyway, so the rest of these are with that little Viltrox f2, and you're going to be impressed with these images because they're very, very clean and sharp. If you haven't looked at that image or that lens yet, please do, because I think you'll really love it. Just size and weight alone, not even mentioning the sharpness. It's incredible. So I'm going to just move these lights through here. I'm not going to give you recommendations of where the light should be, because there's no rules for these lights. And I know so many photographers are into the whole Rembrandt lighting, butterfly, and all that kind of crap. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I move the lights if they look good. That's the lighting I use. I don't think I've ever done ratios or I just didn't care about what the lighting was called when I was shooting it. I just make it look nice. I take the picture, I look at the back of the screen and go like, that's good. I like that. If I see something that has to be changed, I'll just go up and change it. Now with these lights, barn doors are a must. That's my first thing. It is so much easier to control these lights with the barn doors. And I said this in my last video, there's such a small form factor versus modifiers and all that kind of stuff. Not to mention that you can see what you get, but the modifiers are usually much bigger. And for a small studio, I have space to move around and really control these lights and create different looks, which is exciting to me. And I'll shoot these with the Hasselblad every day of the week at ISO 1600. I don't care, because of that creativity, the possibilities with that. It's just so much easier to do with these lights, being able to see where the light's going, how you want to shape it, the angles that you can get. It's kind of fun. And the nice part is I can go from these being a standard headshot lighting setup to creative lighting setup like this in 2 seconds. The barn doors, I hardly ever take off unless I'm traveling, but I can just fold them all the way back, and then I have that full spread of light, or I can put them back to the forward and then modify that light or control where it's going to fall and spill. Now, obviously, if I had her closer to the backdrop, these would light up the backdrop a lot more. The inverse square law always plays effect, whether it's flash or LEDs, it doesn't matter. That fall off is still going to happen the same way. And the power of these, I do have to have her a lot closer to the backdrop to light that as well. But you can see when I opened up that barn door, that left side of her backdrop, that did light up a little bit, but you can't see it in the picture that much because she's a decent distance away from the backdrop. You should probably 3 feet, 3.5 feet, maybe 4 feet from the backdrop. Man, I'm not good at judging that way. Maybe a meter. How's that? But anyway, I'm just rearranging lights as I go. I look at the image, I take it, and I go, this has to be here because I just want to light this part of her a little bit more, or that part of her a little bit more. And it's fun. That's really when it comes down to everything, I can have a conversation with my subject, play with the lights. I'm using my phone now to adjust it to make sure everything is good and not too powerful on the hair light. And I just like what's coming out of it. And again, that extension, that with that battery, if you put the rigging on the bottom of the ice light versus the middle, you see I have it there now, it can be used as almost a boom arm to go above them even more or higher. So if you have a lower light stand or a travel light stand, this is going to give it some height. Now, I wouldn't go for a very lightweight treble stand because they have some weight to them. And obviously, if you have that set to the bottom of the light, you're going to have some pull on that. That's why I set it up in the middle. Even with these heavier stands, I just put it in the middle and I'm able to control it more. It's a little bit more balanced on the stand. There's a tip I gave you, but that works for me. That works a little bit better. And Westcott's dual joint tilter, whatever it's called, I'll leave the link in the description. I love those because they're so easy to use. It's like a modified mini magic arm. It's just one twist and you can move it in any direction, twist it again, and it stays right where you put it. It's that easy. It just makes setting up the lights and turning them at all the different angles so much easier. Now I'm using slivers of lights on her. I'm trying it. You know what I mean? You can't get a very bright sliver of light, but you can control it enough where you can go, I just want that sliver of light on her face and I want it falling off on her body, and it just works. So again, not perfect, but the creative stuff you can get out of this using that, I think it's fantastic. Just my opinion. But if you've never used these before, and again, I know there's a bunch of generics on the market. I really do. I have them. I've had companies send them to me. I do. The last one I did is a 100-watt pole. Is extremely heavy. It had giant fans in it. I think 5 of them. I just never used it after I showed it. Not saying it's a bad light, but I never used it. And that much power out of a stick light from one source really isn't going to help you. It's just too bright. I have up all the way. I'm happy with the power coming out. I have room to go down if I need to, which I do on that secondary light. If I'm using one as a main and one as a fill, it's just everything I need, and it's the power I need. And getting an hour and a half at a full power with these lights is plenty for me for a shoot, and it just looks good and it works. Anyway, that's my shoot. I hope you enjoyed it, but I really wanted to bring these over to the Sony side to show you can shoot it lower ISOs, wide open with your lenses, and still get amazing shots out of it, and still have fun with it. You don't have to have a Hasselblad system for this, but with the Sony, like I said, I'm shooting at a lower ISO 320 versus the 1600 that I was at with the Hasselblad and the 3.4 lens. And again, the majority of this entire shoot was shot at f2 on that Viltrox 15 millimeter. I think they call it the Air, a great little lens for sure. I've been using it literally almost every shoot so far. I really like it that much. The only time I didn't use it, I went to an event. I shot my Sony 40 millimeter because I wanted it a little bit wider. But otherwise, that 50 is it's always in my bag, no matter what. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below.